I always make the joke that one of the prime motivators for people starting their own business are bad bosses.
Yeah.
So there's a plethora of those out there.
Yep. Well, that are just a side hobby. Yeah. And more and more people are like, oh, hey, you do that? Can you do this? And
before
and
you know it.
I hear that more than anything. Just as a side hobby that just turned into a business. So.
Right.
Pro Tools empowers fabricators to take on any challenge with our industry-leading tools and precision manufacturing services. Our innovative solutions and unmatched craftsmanship help you push boundaries and achieve success. Born from a need for better tools, we've been delivering excellence for over 40 years. Count on Pro Tools for reliable, durable products, fast lead times, and unbeatable value. Learn more at protools.com.
Hello, I'm Dan Davis from the Fabricator magazine. This is the Fabricator Podcast. We're here at FabTech 2024 in Orlando. My co-host, Josh Welton, for some of these podcasts. How you doing, Josh?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Dan?
I'm doing well. Today's episode is a sponsored one. We'd like to thank Pro Tools for sponsoring our conversation with Bustin' Dustin of Trick Tools. We had a fun conversation about their use of trick tools when they're working with their tube and how they incorporate that into their kind of not only professional but personal projects. A lot of conversation about racing.
Yeah, we also talked
fun.
about Tom Patsis.
Tom is awesome.
His name did come up, yeah.
He always rocks the Trick Tools hat.
Yeah. Tom is big and deep with those guys.
Yep.
And,
Right. They like him.
Everyone likes Tom except for me, so.
Right. The ongoing feud.
Stupid Tom, who does amazing work, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, everyone loves Tom except for me. We'll just leave it at that.
So we were mentioning your involvement in racing is like you haven't really been, but you've certainly seen a lot, man. You've been to a lot of
I
events.
said no at first, and then I'm like, no, I've been to Talladega. That was cool. I went to the 24-hour Le Mans in France. The year that the Ford GT came back, that was a pretty cool experience. Actually, I was mostly miserable the whole time because the weather just kept going up and down, and it's overnight, so everything's changing.
Yeah.
I couldn't get into any of the hospitality tents, so it was kind of it was an endurance test, just like the race. But the experience was really, really cool, and not something I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Right.
Seeing like street racing and stuff, which isn't exactly kosher, but
but that's
I like driving cars fast. I'm not big into racing.
That's kind of where the conversation kind of went, and it's such a such a close cousin to just fabricating in general.
100%.
Yeah, so it's really nice to kind of explore somebody's, like I said, kind of making a living out of it while also kind of living their passion.
I'm looking forward to going to PRI this year. I've never been there before.
Okay.
And that's where that fabrication plus racing world kind of meshes perfectly.
So Dustin mentioned that for him the PRI thing is probably more hardcore racing than like the SEMA scene.
So we're going to be podcasting from PRI.
Yeah, so that's the hope. Is it definite?
Yep.
Okay, it's definite.
By the time this episode releases, we'll have already been at PRI.
There you go. Wow.
Breaking news. Josh and the people from FMA were at PRI.
All right. On that note, we'd like to thank Pro Tools for sponsoring this episode. Please enjoy this conversation with Dustin Haan of Trick Tools. Thank you.
Introducing the Pro Tools 105 Heavy Duty Tube Bender, the ultimate tool for precise tube bending. Engineered for strength and versatility, it effortlessly handles materials up to 2 inches in diameter. Built to last and proudly made in the USA, the 105 HD is ideal for roll cages, custom metalwork, and industrial projects, delivering consistent, high-quality bends every time. Elevate your fabrication game with Pro Tools. Learn more at protools.com. Master the principles of precision sheet metal bending in FMA's virtual press brake certificate course. This virtual course combines live and on-demand instruction and resources to teach you the fundamentals and the secrets to effectively working with press brakes. Earn an industry-recognized certificate from anywhere. The next session starts on February 3rd. Register at fmamfg.org. And now, back to the episode.
Welcome to the Fabricator Podcast. I'm Dan Davis of the Fabricator Magazine. Today, my guest is Dustin Haan of Trick Tools, and this is an episode sponsored by Pro Tools. Thank you, Pro Tools. We're going to chat about Pro Tools, their connection to Trick Tools, and also talk a little bit about Trick Tools and maybe some farming and
life is like in Pella.
Yeah, like in Pella. There's a lot of topics to cover.
I almost said Ohio.
No. So, Dustin, give me an idea what Pro Tools is about and what's the relationship with Pro Tools and Trick Tools?
Absolutely. So Pro Tools, they make awesome tubing benders for us, and we've been a dealer for them for several years and carry their full line of tube benders and dies and all the accessories. So, yeah, we've been working with them for a long time, and they've got great product that's USA made. So,
yeah. In terms of like different products they have in size, what does the product lineup run?
Yeah, so they've got kind of their standard 105 bender. It goes up to 2-inch OD capacity, which is great for most of your race car guys, handrail guys. Really, 95% of your clientele out there, the 105 HD benders is what works best.
Okay.
For those guys that need a little bit more capacity, they do have the brute bender, and it goes up to 2.5-inch OD or 2-inch pipe capacity. So for those guys that need a little bit more, capacity, they do have that bigger one as well. So
yeah, how much do you have to know about tube bending to like make use of that tool?
Well, so anybody can use it. It's pretty darn simple, but the hardest part is just figuring out where to start your bend and how much material is consumed in that bend, and also your spring back. So there's going to be a little bit of testing, a little bit of trial and error. You're going to go through some material learning it, but it's easy enough that just about anybody can do it.
So experience is your friend, but
Correct.
You have to get that experience somehow,
That's
right?
correct, yeah.
Yeah. Videos out there to help people?
Yeah, so Pro Tools has a few. We have a few on our website as well. So we try to give you an example of a manual bender, an air over hydraulic, and an electric over hydraulic, kind of show you the ins and outs and the speed differences with those. So yeah, we try to make sure guys can see that video and really help them make the right decision from the start.
Yeah. So Trick Tools, what's the relationship?
Yeah, so we've been a distributor for Pro Tools for probably 15 or 20 years. I don't know the exact number there, but yeah, just been a stocking dealer. I believe we're the largest stocking dealer in the U.S. And yeah, we have most of their benders and or at least the 105 and most of the common die sets on the shelf ready to go in our warehouse in Pella.
Yeah, so that's Pella, Iowa.
Correct.
How big is the distribution area? Is there?
I mean, we're worldwide. We ship Pro Tools benders overseas, Australia. I mean, all across the world. So we're not just limited to just the U.S. But yeah, we go coast to coast. Being in Iowa, we're in the middle of the country. We can get stuff to about in either coast in about 3 days with UPS ground. And that's pretty cool. So, and everything from Pro Tools can ship UPS ground. We don't have to worry about truck freight on it. So
awesome. Now, Trick Tools also not only a distributor, kind of manufactures some of their own products.
Correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about Trick Tools?
Yeah. So Trick Tools been around for 28, 29 years, something like that. We're getting close to another big one. But basically, the owner Bruce Van Zant started a body shop. He raced on the side, drag racing, and he needed something to help pay the bills. So his brother says, "Hey, how about you start selling this bender?" It was an import from Europe. "Hey, how about you go to some trade shows and sell this and put some ads in some magazines, and that can help fund that drag racing hobby and fill in the gaps when the body shop is slow or things of that nature." And so he started doing that, and those customers then kept going, "Hey, we like that bender. What do you have for a grinder? Or what do you have for a saw?" And so it just kind of expanded from there. And here we are, 25, 28, whatever it is, years later. We got a good thing going.
Yeah, and really kind of a well-known brand in the racing community.
Correct. So yeah, we worked with a lot of the big racers around to help them set up their shop. I know Tony Stewart Racing, some of his guys that he had help when he transitioned to the NHRA. We help fabricate or help set up their shop with a bunch of tools.
Wow.
We've worked with, all the big race teams in NASCAR and drag racing and Indy. We've worked with Tesla and SpaceX and Facebook and Apple, like all the big companies. We've worked with them in some way, shape, or form to help them with some of their tool needs.
Yeah, so I remember we actually wrote a story on the Van Zants, and I think this one focused in on their motorcycle racing.
Mm-hmm.
So give us an idea, what are they using tools from like Trick Tools and maybe even Pro Tools when it comes to racing? Is it mostly tube? Is it mainly tube stuff?
Correct, yeah. So most of these guys, we are doing tube bending, abrasive or end mill notching, or even hole saw notching to connect those tubes together after they've been bent. There's trying to think. There's a few other, there's other common tools like your grinder and maybe a welding positioner to help weld that piece in. So we've got a little bit of everything. Welding tables, fixture tables to help jig that up.
So when it comes to racing, are you talking mostly about frame type work?
Correct. Yeah. Probably the frame is probably the most prevalent for the tools that we're selling.
Yeah. So you'd mentioned Tony Stewart. We were talking before. I had no idea he was even involved in NHRA nowadays. Somebody like that. How big is the NHRA? Just as an example of one racer, because I imagine you serve different racers of all kinds. But whereas you don't maybe see it on TV as much, is because nobody watches TV anymore. Yeah. But it's a big presence in America, is it not?
Absolutely. So it's a big presence, like you said, and the NHRA teams, they're bringing it takes a lot of money to run one of those cars, so they're bringing some big sponsors to the table, and they got a lot of sold out shows every week. So not every track, but most of them it's a sellout, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Can you name one drag car racer? Gary?
Can I? Does Chase Van Zant count?
Big Daddy Don Garlitz?
Yeah.
That's a name from the past.
Oh, yeah.
So do you work with racers of all levels? I mean,
Absolutely.
People just kind of breaking out on their own and doing the kind of weekend dirt track stuff?
Absolutely. So, even our in-house guys, we've got one guy that does hobby stocks and uses a Pro Tools bender to make all his cages and bumpers, and he actually does that on the side as well to help fund that racing. So, his Pro Tools bender's working about every night and on the weekends when he's not out racing. So, we've got everything for the entry-level guy all the way up to a full manufacturing facility.
Yeah. So, we were talking earlier about different shows. You've done SEMA in the past, but it seemed like the Performance Racing Institute show. Is that right?
PRI
is the big one, right?
Yeah, in Indy, that's definitely one of the bigger ones that we go to and are at each year. So that's definitely our roots. That's our demographic. That's our customer. We're racing through and through. We got guys of all, basically everybody at Trick Tools that race some form of fashion at some point in their lives. So.
That includes you.
Absolutely. So,
what are you racing?
Yeah, so I got an 87 Mustang and just do some 8th mile racing at the local track.
No kidding.
I actually raced Chase several times throughout my career, and I got to go through the time slips and see if I ever got him. But he's a tough one to beat. He always has been. So.
That's pretty awesome. What's he racing?
So
into that example.
Yeah, so when he was racing me. Yeah, so he was racing like a Hayabusa with a extended swing arm and slider clutch. So it was a fast bike. So
right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So a bike versus a Mustang.
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, it was a
random.
special class that we had. Just kind of bike count wasn't super big, and so it was a good way to pair them with some of us in our cars.
Funny.
And it was a super fun class. So
this sounds like a fun night in a empty mall parking lot.
Luckily we did it in the safe way on the drag strip. With safety crew.
Are we going to run into issues now with the disclaimer?
So that's the way to race.
This.
We'll flash that across the bottom of the screen.
Have you? What's the biggest celebrity you've run into in this space?
Oh man, I know.
So not even run into. You actually know these folks, huh?
Well, yeah. So drag racing wise, I mean, we talk to these guys every year at PRI. So Johnny Lindbergh, Leah Pruitt. We stopped by Richie Crampton's shop. We went to Vance and Hines a couple years ago and met with Eddie Craywick and walked around and saw everything there. So, we've got a good relationship with all those guys out there. We went to Don Schumacher Racing before it split up, but we saw that whole layout, and man, that facility is phenomenal. They had amazing fab area. They got just state-of-the-art machining center. I mean, it was just clean as possible as could be. There's carousels with aluminum blocks just going one right after the other. It was pretty darn cool.
Yeah, we had a guest on last Fab Tech, Tom Patsis, who worked for Don Schumacher. He's always rocking a Trick Tools hat in a lot of his Instagram posts. Yeah,
Tom Patsis is one of our buddies. So he's a phenomenal artist.
Can he leave the state now?
Tom?
So he's a phenomenal artist and welder and fabricator. I mean, that guy's got some skill, and it's really cool what he's done and been able to build after his career.
So we're chatting like SEMA. I mean, SEMA, there's a lot to it. Does PRI have like chiller, like open houses at some of these shops, or is it primarily like just around the convention itself?
Yeah, so PRI is right next door to Brownsburg, which is where a lot of the drag racers are. So we make a point of stopping there. I don't know that they have too many open houses during that time.
Right.
Because they're all trying to get ready, for the season. Because I think usually testing are the first races within just a couple of weeks after that out in California. So
because PRI is normally late, like November or December,
first or second week of December.
We're going to be there recording episodes.
So we're definitely doing
it.
All right. Well, be sure and buy your tickets. And
well, this episode will come out.
As for the Fabricator discount, don't do that.
This episode will come out after we're recording there.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. This part will be edited out.
We're trying to get Tom to guest host on those episodes.
How long do you have?
Well,
he is a talker.
He is.
We learned this firsthand.
Yes. Yeah, I know. We went to supper with him one night, and I'm not sure if he ever took a bite of food. We're all done, and we were laughing. We were all having a good time because his stories are hilarious.
Right.
And he's like, I needed to go, box.
That's funny.
So, but he's probably gonna go burn the midnight oil anyway. He likes to work late.
He's told me stories about how he'll just go hard for a week finishing a bunch of projects, and he'll just sleep in his shop next to his workbench and just wake up and get right back to work.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
I'll tell you what, he's inspiring. He's a great work ethic. He does an awesome job posting on social media. He does an awesome job of pushing the Pro Tools brand and the Trick Tools brand. I know he's got one of their roll benders, I believe. So
has that kind of helped the Trick Tools branding too, just working with all these big names?
We've worked with a few people, and it hasn't always panned out. But working with Tom, it's just so easy. He's just he just does. You don't have to ask him for the help. He just knows what to do, and he puts it out there for you. And so I know he's got our little hem saw that we sell. He's got a stomp shear that we got him one year. He's got the Pro Tools bender. So he's got a bunch of tools that we've worked with him on, and to make all the stuff that he does.
Yeah. That's got to be an interesting part of the job in terms of working, knowing somebody like Tom and small folks like that. But you mentioned working with some of these big companies too, whether it's a racer setting up a big shop or even a Fortune 500 company looking to maybe buy something specifically for some application on their shop floor.
Yeah, so I mean, I know we worked with a large diesel manufacturer or aftermarket diesel parts. We worked with them and got them into a full CNC mandrel tube bending setup, along with a fully automatic cold stock setup. So it's really cool to be able to work with. I'm fine talking to the guy who doesn't know a whole lot. He wants to call in and he wants to learn, hey, I want to bend this, and what's the difference between tube and pipe? That's a common conversation we have. And then you go all the way to the to those guys that are hey, we need to step up our fab game. So let's do it.
Yeah. So at a place like Fab Tech, how's your time being spent?
Yeah. So I'm actually here helping with another booth. Trick Tools themselves, our manufacturing side of things, it's kind of small, so not really worthy of a booth quite yet here at Fab Tech, but just here helping some of our other vendors, doing some networking, and of course here chatting it up and helping Pro Tools out. And we absolutely, like I said, they've been phenomenal for us, and their lead times are great. That's been a hard thing ever since COVID. A lot of companies trouble with lead times. Pro Tools has been rock solid, just on the ball.
Right.
And so,
yeah, do you see more companies looking to do tube bending, or has that remained kind of steady over the years?
Yeah, so I mean, it's one of those things where a lot more people want to just do it themselves instead of outsourcing it.
Yeah.
Or a lot of times they've outsourced it for quite a while, and now they're at the point where, hey, it just makes sense. Let's spend a couple grand, get this in house, play around with it, and let's just do this ourselves when we need it. So
yeah. Do people without a lot of confidence, can they make it work maybe with CNC?
Yeah, so I mean, well, obviously a CNC bender is a whole nother level, but like your Pro Tools, the entry level, the best part about it is it's there's formulas available to calculate all that out, but there's also very basic software to help you figure out your bends and help minimize that material waste. So
because people that can't go the CNC way.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, that's that's something that we see a lot in terms of I should say used to see a lot, where they used to be tube shops.
Yep.
And they probably got their start literally with just a manual tube bender. But nowadays, it seems like more people are looking to add different manufacturing capabilities in a way to kind of make themselves more attractive to somebody that's just looking to cut wood and PO. So that's what kind of why I asked the question. And the other thing is just how many people are now incorporating tube into designs, whereas before it may have been just like structural pieces. I mean, is that a fair observation?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. For the most part, I mean, it's always been part of most things. So your handrails on the side of a tractor, or your handrail outside of the hospital, or something like that. They've always been kind of the same. It's just it's more accessible for everyone to be able to do. Maybe
gives people confidence that they may be able to kind of work with it. Now, do you ever go to does Trick Tools ever attend the NOMA show?
We do not.
Okay. Yeah, just in terms of handrails, that's what I was kind of thinking of.
Yep. So no, like I said, our main focus is more the racing and the hot rod world.
Gotcha.
But we kind of cross over and dabble.
Well, people find
yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So we work with the handrail guys. We work with, a little bit of everybody.
Yeah. So you're from Pella, Iowa.
Yep.
We were talking about, for a relatively small town.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of manufacturing presence there. Yeah,
right? 10,000, 12,000. So Pella Windows is just down the road. Vermeer Manufacturing, which makes balers and underground boring and trenching and some stuff like that. Yeah. They're right down the road. Weiler's a town over. It's big paving. So there's a lot of businesses right there with a lot of welders, a lot of fabrication guys. So, and a lot of those guys like to just be able to tinker when they get home too. So maybe they're working on a hot rod, maybe they're just working on their own little project, but it's nice to be able to have a resource for them to stop by and get some tools as well.
Yeah, I mean, just the number of fabricating companies that probably got their start from somebody, a farmer or somebody working after hours trying to work on something. There's a reason why the Midwest is such a fabricating stronghold.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Your son is doing his farming right now, right?
He's playing.
How old is he?
He's over at Grandma's. He's a year and a half, and he's out just playing and picking some corn and putting it in his little red wagon. And
are you gonna get worried if someone sends a picture of him in a welding helmet?
No, not yet.
Do they make them for infants?
Toddler line.
Yeah. Baby's first power source.
Yeah. So no. Well, I am excited though. I like to dabble with the tools myself. I'm not just sitting in front of the desk. So I've got a lot of these tools at home. I got a Pro Tools bender. I've got a bead roller, an English wheel. So I like just playing around. I'm not going to say I'm a master fabricator. You're not going to see me with my own TV show, but I do like to tinker around and
give it time.
Yeah.
We say like most of the folks you work with are kind of that mindset, right?
Absolutely. So we like to be very knowledgeable. We've got 10,000 different products on the website, but we also like to just actually know what we're talking about. So we're not just going to go and sell anything and everything we can get our hands on, which is a lot of companies' motto. The more, the better. So
yeah.
So yeah.
Is it pretty common to see like a lot of hobbyists kind of lean towards you guys for some tooling, and just all of a sudden you see them kind of slowly growing a business?
For sure, yeah. I can think of one local that started with just like a Pro Tools bender or something along that line, and basically he grew the business. And I know, oh man, he came and bought a really big bender, probably like a $30,000 bender just for a certain application for a job that he got. And he's like, he's grown it from that grassroots, from having a $2,000 setup to start. So,
right. Yeah.
Is that a common story?
Maybe not super common,
Yeah.
but yeah,
But not unheard of, right?
Yeah, I mean, we hear about it all the time, and especially guys in the race car, in the dirt world especially, they're always wanting to do their own stuff, and they're making their own body panels with the sheet metal brakes. They're taking the bender and having to build new bumpers after a weekend of racing. So yeah.
Yeah. What kind of trends are you seeing on the racing end of things? Like I made reference to, I don't see it as much on TV as I maybe once did when I was younger, but they're still doing it.
Oh, absolutely.
So, are you seeing, has there been evolution in terms of, I see kids with not so much like the muscle cars. They grew up with smaller cars, so they work on those and do different things. From a racing standpoint, how's it changed over recent years?
So I mean, racing goes through its ups and downs just like any industry, but it's still really strong. Maybe dropping off just a little bit, as the economy gets harder. Racing, of course, goes to the side a little more, but it's still really strong, and there's always guys, even if they're not racing, they're at least working on something, getting ready for racing in the future.
Yeah, I guess that doesn't go away, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
There's always that drive.
What's your dream car?
Oh man, it's a tough one.
Or maybe it's not even a car. I don't know.
Like the old pickups right now.
Yeah.
I know
the
that's
square
the
bodies.
fad. No, maybe not the square bodies, but
Really?
like the 70s C10s or the 60s and 70s F100s, like all those old trucks. Just the way they're building those out are just really cool. So
those I don't know what you would call them, mods, but taking those old bodies.
Yeah, the resto mods. Yep.
Oh, dude, that's really.
Or like a pro touring setup.
I tell you, it's one of the better things about getting older, because the people who would buy those are getting to the point they don't need to buy them anymore. It's like maybe it comes down in price a little bit. I'm not so sure.
No, I think they've all keep going up.
I think my theory's not that well thought out, but I kind of wish that would be the case, right?
But
what are some of the craziest things you've seen being raced?
Oh man, well, I mean, we like to race our pit vehicles at our local track, so racing the golf carts and the little dirt bikes and scooters and stuff. So I mean, that's not too crazy, but yeah, our local track, Eddyville Raceway Park, where Chase and I grew up racing, they have some cool shows, and they get jet cars in there and
no kidding.
Like the Top Fuel funny car or motorcycles.
Yeah.
They get all nitro cars. We had one of the Top Fuel dragsters actually come make a pass in the 8th mile.
No kidding.
Down our track, and he broke all the records. So Tommy Johnson, who is local from our area as well, he's a drag racer from years past. But Tommy Johnson Jr. grew up just south of the track, and he had the track record until just a couple of years ago. So
man, that's big news then.
Yeah. So
Are you familiar with Greg Davis at all? Redbeard's Garage. He's got a YouTube channel. He does he buys like old little go karts and makes small motor vehicles, and we had him on the podcast at FabTech last year too. And he was one of those people. He's like, I just wanted to kind of tool around with something with my son, and it kind of blew up into a whole thing.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
So and we saw a big surge of that during COVID, especially.
Yeah, right.
Guys were at home; they had extra money laying around. So, we had some good years there, helping these guys get a economical saw, an economical bender, getting that stuff so they could do these projects.
I mean, it's kind of amazing how people, all they need is a start.
Yeah.
And they might, you don't know where it ends up. It may be just a hobbyist, or it could be people who open up their own businesses.
Absolutely. Well, and you start with a Pro Tools bender, a grinder, and a welder. Yeah. You can do a lot of stuff.
Right.
Throwing a Pro Tools notcher in there, and you got some good notches. So you can do a lot with just
and
that
luckily, I always make the joke that one of the the prime motivators for people starting their own business are bad bosses.
Yeah.
So there's a plethora of those out there.
Yep. Well, that are just a side hobby. Yeah. And more and more people like, oh, hey, you do that? Can you do this? And
before
so
you know it,
I hear that more than anything. Just as a side hobby that just turned into a business. So.
Right. Yeah.
So you said that right now Bruce and Chase are out on a circuit, right?
Yeah, so they just got done racing down in Dallas. So I think that it was like a 3-week swing that they went on some races here, and they might have had a 1-week break here, but they've been racing, doing the Chase here recently, and Chase got his first win out in Seattle.
Oh, that's exciting.
So that was cool. That was a couple weeks ago. A lot of hooping and hollering at home, and I'm pretty sure everybody in Pella could hear me, but that was pretty cool to see. And then he was in the finals again here just a couple weeks ago in St. Louis. So
that's awesome.
He's a talented young man, and they're having some good luck, which is really some good racing, but it's a tough class this year. So hopefully,
so we say like good luck. What is that? How's that translate?
Well. Not necessarily good luck. It's a lot of work.
I know that. Yeah. But maybe somebody's not performing at the
correct. Yeah. So
you just catch the right race.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, because everybody has their good race and their bad race.
Yeah.
You may have a good reaction time, or you may spin the tire, or there's or you may red light. That's what took him out on Sunday in Texas. He was 5 thousandths too fast, so 0.005 too quick on the tree. So that split second take you out.
Man, wow.
I imagine that like motorcycle, like auto, like fabrication kind of allows you to be a little bit more innovative too with some of the tooling.
Yeah, absolutely. So being able to do stuff on the fly and make those changes that you need, that's where having the tools at your disposal rather than having to send a drawing out and have somebody else make it for you makes a big difference.
Sure.
Yeah. Y'all sell to tech schools.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that. Do tech schools buy like the tube bending?
Oh yeah,
equipment?
we've worked with a lot of the tech schools out there. We work with a lot of schools just in general, high schools, colleges, innovation centers. So good friends with Dave Savignon from North Dakota State University.
Oh, wow.
He works at their innovation studio, and man, they've got like a little bit of everything.
No kidding.
Woodworking, metalworking, sewing, like literally, like you can do upholstery, you could do a whole car there from start to finish.
Oh, wow.
So those are popping up more and more. So I work with him obviously in North Dakota, and then another one in Lincoln, Nebraska. We work with a lot at the University of Nebraska. So yeah, it's really cool to see those innovation studios popping up and giving these college kids something to go and get their hands dirty.
Yeah, I kind of asked that question for two reasons. One, as you say, sometimes the practical is not part of the education.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed that's kind of interesting. The other thing was just to come out with a skill at a younger level to be comfortable and have knowledge to work with tube.
Absolutely.
Because I think that's something that usually comes later, learning on the job.
There's a lot of I know there's a lot of fab shops out there and hot rod shops that are looking for talented young men and women to be able to get in there and build these high-end hot rods. I mean, a lot of these builds are $1 million builds anymore, and but they need the talent there to actually make it happen, and that's getting harder and harder for them to come across. So
the ability to kind of spend your time in that much effort for precision as opposed to kind of doing the same part day after day. And I think manufacturers realize that, then you kind of mix it up to make sure they maintain the talent they have. I mean, it's just one more example of a path somebody might be able to take they don't realize that they're involved in fabricating. Absolutely. Did you think you'd be doing what you're doing?
I went to school for computers. I really didn't know what I wanted to do going out of high school. I just knew my friends. I liked the computer class, and my friends were going to college for computers. So I'm like, okay, I'll do that. And then I went basically a kind of a high-end fiber-to-the-home cable job. Then I went over to the ag world for a while and worked on GPS systems, and then found myself here working for Bruce about 8 years ago, and I love it. I've always been a tool nut, and I've always wanted to work with metal tools. So when I got this opportunity, it was like a kid in a candy store. So luckily, I don't have to spend every paycheck to bring tools home. I do get to dabble with a few at work, but I keep growing my arsenal at home too.
It's good.
Well, that's pretty cool, because I mean, you hear there's so much talk about like AI technology being implemented in a lot of equipment, but with hand tools, it's just you can't really change much about it.
No, not at all. So,
speaking of hand tools, we're recording this the day before FabTech starts, so they're still doing a lot of setup here, and you can probably hear that.
I'm not even sure I could guess what that is.
I can't even hear you.
It doesn't sound like it's cutting through it.
Someone racing a motorcycle through here?
You
care to guess what it is?
Oh my God, that's so loud. They're trying to drown us out, probably.
Yeah, tired of listening.
So there's a prior FabTech we're across from some structural steel equipment manufacturer, and whenever they turn on their bandsaw, I mean, it's like, whee!
Yeah,
so
right.
like, I know that sound now.
Yeah, it was right across from us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't identify that. I'm at a loss.
Yep.
You know what that was? Can you identify a tool by its sound?
At first, it sounded like a hammer drill into concrete, but I don't know.
Yeah, could have been.
All right, we're gonna have a contest. Send in what you think.
Yeah,
that
right.
was.
Send us random sound effects of tools, and we'll have Dustin guess it.
Anything else we want to cover? Oh, what do you have in your at-home tool lineup?
Yeah, like I said, I got a Pro Tools bender, a couple dies. I've got a sheet metal brake and a stomp shear, bead roller, Beverly shear, and then an English wheel, Metal Ace English wheel. And so, like I said, I keep growing my arsenal. I shouldn't, but wife doesn't like it, but I keep adding to it. And like I said, I just like to dabble. With my son being 1.5, I want to do some projects for him, maybe make like a hot rod little red wagon to go around the track and some of that kind of stuff. So, nothing. We're not starting an Etsy store or lighting the world on fire, but
are your friends and family aware of like you're building arsenal of tools and asking you to do odd jobs?
Well, yeah, mom and dad do. I just moved, and so they've got a few tools in their shop right now while I get situated. But
Man, does everyone in Iowa have a shop?
I don't. I need one though.
I just have a shed. I think that's the difference between Illinois and Iowa. People in Iowa have shops. People in Illinois have sheds.
Yeah,
it's true.
Anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think we're before the noise kicks in again.
Thanks for joining us, Dustin. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thanks to Trick Tools for letting you come here.
Yeah.
Thanks to Pro Tools for sponsoring this episode. And if you have any comments, suggestions, criticisms, complaints, send them to podcast@fmamfg.org. Thank you and goodbye.
The Fabricator Podcast is a production of Fabricators and Manufacturers Association, located in Elgin, Illinois. The show is hosted by Dan Davis and the staff of FMA Communications. The podcast is produced by Gareth Slager and recorded and edited by Griffin Hammond and Dana Weicker. Sales support provided by Andy Flando. Additional production support by Elizabeth Gavin, Mike Owens, Billy Kulpa, Pat Simon, Brandon Geyer, and me, Sarah Spring. Email us at podcast@fmamfg.org. Thank you for listening.